Today, this did not come as a surprise. They removed Kevin Patullo from his role as offensive coordinator. He was promoted from pass game coordinator last year to replace Kellen Moore, who would become the head coach in New Orleans. Under Patullo's watch, the defending champs ranked 24th in total offense, tied for their worst mark this century. So they will once again be in the market for a new OC. In 2026, next year, they will have their 5th different offensive coordinator in the last 5 years. Now, they've obviously hit on some good ones. Shane Steichen, Kellen Moore. They went to the Super Bowl in both of those cases. In the years where these moves haven't worked out so well, they were at least quick to pull the trigger and move on. Yeah. So I guess I would ask, do we believe the Eagles are the right offensive coordinator away from being right back in the Super Bowl?
Absolutely. I mean, even if with the wrong offensive coordinator, if they can get that O-line back together, they would be on their trip right back to the Super Bowl. Yeah, this team is still incredibly talented. I assume there are going to be some adjustments made. They'll improve. I don't think they're going to get worse as far as talent's concerned between now and then. But, yeah, they have all the pieces that you need, and it seems really attractive for somebody like Mike McDaniel, who was able to, like, manufacture some offense with a team that didn't have a great offensive line, didn't have a quarterback that you could rely on, and create great rushing attack, which would be really attractive with the talent that they have.
Jeff,
there.
I want to ask you as an offensive player, and you played with one of the great quarterbacks of all time, and he basically played in the same system for, if not the entirety of his career, pretty darn close to it. Those numbers that we just saw, I mean, Jalen Hurts is now going to be on his 5th different offensive coordinator in 5 different years. He's had a million different play callers. By the way, this happened to him in college as well.
Yeah.
What? I mean, how in the world? These are the different people that he's had calling his plays going back to college. I mean, every single year it's different people. To me, you could look at it on one level, say it is remarkable that he has been as successful as he has been considering this.
Yeah, listen, there is no doubt. And this is part of the frustration that I have when I hear people talk about, like, they don't run a certain offense because the quarterback's not capable of doing this or whatever, right? Like, yeah, the dude's smart. Like, to go through all of I just want to explain it to the people. It's like learning a new language every year. Literally a new language, like all the different things, all the different nuances of every offense, and then how you have to adjust to really smart guys on the other side of the field. And so when I hear people say, oh, they should be doing this more or doing that more, or explosions or motions and all that kind of stuff, it's not just the quarterback position, y'all. It's can the receiver see it the same way? Does the back see it? Does the line see it the same way? And I know we always gloss over those things, and I'm not going to get to, but it is complicated. And so when I think about this job, I would say 2 things were the nail in the coffin for Patullo. Not enough QB run, right, and not enough RPOs. Because if you look at, Himbo sent me a stat, they ran 274 RPOs for like almost 2,000 yards last year. They ran 112 this year for 600 yards. They had 96 design QB runs, not tush-push, like true runs, and they had 41 last year. So, like, what you've done for Jalen Hurts is you've taken away a viable weapon and now placed him as a QB in a system that really was very simple. And everybody complained about it all the time. But the truth is, y'all, they're 20 yards from winning the game and moving on at 1st and 10 on the 20, and they got drops. And they had drops, and they had open players. So we can blame the coordinator, but part of this is execution as well. Now, you may be able to attribute to the coordinator that it wasn't clean. Nobody knew really exactly why the ball should be where it is. That's fair, if that's what it is. But make no mistake, this is a well-coached football team. You don't go to 2 out of 3 Super Bowls without being well-coached.
I think it's fair someone has to lay the blame here. There's got to be blood after this game. I mean, this was a horrible way to see it, but it was all season long. Now, 2 years ago, they hired from the outside, and Kliff Kingsbury interviewed, Kellen Moore interviewed. They interviewed Zach Robinson. They did a wide search, and I find it interesting because in this last year, they just hired from within. They promoted, and Patullo had been with Sirianni for a long time, and they have a long relationship. They're going to do this wide search again and speak to all these people from external candidates. Nick Sirianni, to me, is the most interesting because he's an offensive coach, guys. As much as this is on the offensive coordinator, at the end of the day,
this is my offense.
This is his offense. So who's the right personality? Kellen Moore is a very passive guy in a lot of ways, and was like, I wonder who the next hire is. Mike McDaniel runs a different offense than what Nick Sirianni ran.
I would say this, though. The Kliff Kingsbury and Mike McDaniel, both of those guys, right? Because I'll say this. Kellen Moore ran a really different offense from before he hit the Eagles. When he hit the Eagles, he morphed his offense. So if you can get guys like Kingsbury in the building or McDaniel, and you to Nick Sirianni's point, you kind of make this thing and put your stamp on this thing, it was vicious with Kellen Moore. He was never a running guy, y'all. Like, don't get it mixed up. I get he gets a lot of credit, but he changed as well. That's what great coaches do. That's why I like what Sirianni's capable of doing.
As we roll on, well, the last time, the Steelers were interested in talking to candidates, they couldn't text them because there was no texting. There has not been a vacancy in Pittsburgh.
Crazy.
A few months before remember the BlackBerry? Like you had I was on the BlackBerry.
People.
To figure that thing out there. So one way or another, Mike Tomlin steps down as Steelers head coach. If you're just joining us, we had a lengthy conversation about exactly what happened yesterday and some of the reaction that we are getting. And now we turn our attention to what happens next. And I guess the question is, I posted this on social yesterday. We'll pick it up where we were. That job, to me, is attractive for one reason and one reason only, and that is that the franchise has a history of being patient with coaches. Now, I think I heard Swagoo say in a soundbite in there, part of the reason for that is because they hired excellent coaches. So you weren't going to fire Bill Cowher because he was doing great, and you weren't going to fire Mike Tomlin because he was doing great. So those things aren't guaranteed either. If you sit back and look at almost every other vacancy that exists in the NFL right now, I can point to at least one thing about the team that seems appealing. Tennessee, maybe you really like Cam Ward.
Yeah.
The Giants, maybe you really like Jackson Dart. In Pittsburgh, if you're just a neutral observer, you know, the Raiders kind of in a different category.
But even so, blank slate, right?
Yeah, they've got $1 trillion in cap space and whatever the case may be, and they have the #1 pick in the draft. So, yeah, they have some appealing things, too. I think the Steelers, if indeed they're going in for a rebuild here, I think that sometimes you think the other side of that, you think a rebuild is fun until your team is playing meaningless games in October, and then all of a sudden it isn't as much fun as you thought.
You've lived that world.
Oh, my God.
Sure.
It's bleeding into all of your questions, Greedy. We can all feel it. I'm sorry.
When he hits
I'm
October,
sorry, man.
We're 4 games in the season and already done. That's where he is.
But that is true.
No, I agree. I understand it's true. What you guys have with the Jets is something
But it's
different.
not just the Jets. It's all of these teams that do this. Like, we have this idea. There is this idea. This is why tanking is a scourge.
Agreed.
We have this idea. All you have to do is suck for a little while, and then the next thing you know, you're going to be Brady and Belichick.
I think
Brady was a 6th-round pick. Belichick was on his 2nd job.
No, I mean, no one really tanks in football because it doesn't work. Like, we've seen, to your point, that it doesn't really work. Also, it's really hard when you're in the middle, which is where they've been.
Yeah.
When you're just good enough to not be able to get those top draft picks. Of course, you can find great quarterbacks at the back end of the draft, and you can maximize your talent. There are other ways to build your team in the NFL. It's not like the NBA where you kind of have to have a top-of-the-draft superstar to be competitive. So, like, I understand that point. But for the Steelers, if you are doing something, how long do you have to do something and not get the results before you think, like, we got to try something different? I said multiple times I wouldn't have had the courage to move on from Mike Tomlin, but he made it easy for you. He moved on his own. So I think that the brighter days could be out there if you look at what you have and you say, and you have to appreciate, or you have to anticipate that it might be rough for a little bit at first.
Is he definitely taking a year off? I mean, is that
I can't speak definitely, but it would be an incredible hurdle for another team to get Mike Tomlin because of the contract and because he was making more than $20 million a year from the Steelers and multiple years left on that contract. If you were to take Mike Tomlin on, it is one of these buyout situations and draft picks. It seems like a lot to do. If you wait a year or two, it gets a lot less and you can actually do it. And I think Tomlin, you know, Steve Bisciotti said something interesting. He said he wished Harbaugh took some time away because he's 63 years old. And at 63, if you want to travel and take some time, it's different than at 73 in doing that. Tomlin, where he is in his life right now, a year away, I think will be beneficial for him in a way that he might not even know right now. So I believe he's out of football in a way that he's not coaching, but he'll be very much a part of our lives on one of these type shows next year.
I think people are going to realize, oh, damn, like, this is a lot tougher than we realize. I think, again, I mentioned the pressure that's on Omar Khan. When he got the job, it was like, okay, salary cap guy, okay, do your thing. Now he's got to prove that he can identify talent not just for a roster, but for a head coach. That is a big job.
Okay, so now what? Now that we look at all the jobs that are available out there. You right now, you're the belle of the ball. You're John Harbaugh. You've got your options. You can go any of these places. Cindy, if you can, put the teams back up there that are looking for coaches. 9, parenthetically, over the course of the last 12 months, more than, I guess it's 9 plus 8, 17 of the 32 teams in the NFL have changed coaches. These are multi-billion-dollar companies changing CEOs.
No other business like it, Gurney.
There's no other business in the world like this. Right now, Jeff Saturday, you're the most desirable coaching candidate in the world, and I'm giving you a choice of any of these teams. Which one you want?
I can't be John Harbaugh because the Ravens would be the #1 job. But
Ravens would be number one.
Would it be your number one, for real?
Yeah, the Ravens would probably be one.
Why?
I would go Falcons and then Giants.
Why Ravens over the others?
With Lamar, you got a 4-year run with Lamar. You get the defensive players. Like there's going to be a significant change, whether it's coordinators or whatever. You would bring guys in. You would do. I mean, listen, I said this is one of the top 5 rosters going into the season. I really believe that their line, to your point, did not play well. Derrick Henry had some things going. I feel like I could tighten that ship up the quickest, and then the Falcons would be 2, and the Giants would be 3.
It's an interesting year because there's 9 openings, and they're all very different from each other. And I had a candidate reach out to me, and we were talking, and he said, just out of curiosity, what would you rank as most important? Ownership, quarterback, or roster? And I said, wow, you could skin that cat a million different ways, because if you're looking for ownership, well, then that Steelers logo is pretty impressive.
Right.
If you're looking at quarterback, Cam Ward and Jackson Dart are pretty impressive.
And Lamar Jackson. I mean,
and Lamar Jackson. And if you're looking at roster, well, the Atlanta Falcons are pretty darn good, and they just have a question at quarterback. So you can go a million different directions.
Why is Kmart laughing?
Well, you jumped to Cam Ward and Jackson Dart and forgot Lamar Jackson. That was funny.
Well,
but I will say, but is he bought in, as Jeff was asking earlier? Yeah, no, I think when you look at the quarterback situation, I think if you don't have a quarterback, you have like if Kevin Stefanski would have a job if they had figured out this quarterback situation. I think a lot of these teams, if they had figured out the quarterback situation, some of these guys, again, Miami too. Like I think quarterback to me is #1. You don't go anywhere without it.
All right, let me make my next stop here, and that is Philadelphia, because they did make a different kind of change. Yes.